Okay, Sumit, we're going to start the teardown process here. See where we stand on the inside of the watch. This hand has me very concerned. It appears that part of the shoulder that holds it onto its post is gone, which means that there's not a whole lot of meat. And this is sort of, well, the way this works is there's a shoulder here that cinches in, and you can press it on and it holds itself by friction onto its post. Now, I have to take a very close look at that. Okay. Okay, so let's take another look. So this is 2 of 71 on the back of your case. Okay, and this has 2 of 72 on the back of your dial. That's a year difference. So what that means is the following. This is either the wrong back for your watch, or this is the wrong dial for your watch, or it's a replacement dial. Usually, though, replacement dials weren't marked this way. So you can see here 2-2 means February of 72, and 2-1 is February of 71. Generally, on Seiko watches, the dial dates 1 month after the case back. So if this was correct, this would say 3-1, which would be 1 month after. So it would be March of 71 dial in a February 72. Now, that's okay. We just know, for example, that somebody's been in here and changed some things around. Okay. Let's keep going. All right, so your wheels have a little bit of scratching and issue. The 9 here has some marring, 17 has a mar, 2 has some dirt that may be cleanable, but it looks like it might be into the actual coloring. Your day wheel looks good. That's nice and crisp. That looks pretty good. There's your movement. All right, let's start to get things torn down. Start here on the calendar side. can see here, you've got some small rust particles here, rusting on this lever. This is the spring lever for your date advance. So a little bit of water in there. You see some also a little bit of hazing on this spring lever here. Okay, let's keep going. Minute wheel, mechanic pinion, intermediate wheel, a little dirty under there, that's okay, we'll get that nice and clean. Keyless works here. Okay, that's your calendar side broken down. Looks pretty good. Let's move on to your dial side. Or I'm sorry, other side. So once we get a little bit deeper in here, we'll be able to take a look at some very important components like your chronograph wheel. Now, I want you to take a very close look. Here's a correct screw, here's an incorrect screw. These are very hard to come by. They are a different pitch than all the other screws on this movement, except for some that are on a different style of 6000 series. That will hold. It's just that it's incorrect. That's the correct screw size. So these are easy to lose or mix up, and a lot of times people will replace them with the wrong style of screw. I will see if I have an extra. If I do, I will put it in. But you know, this one works. It's just not the right head size for this particular situation. Common thing to find. There's your bearing assembly. It's looking a little bit worn. I'll take a very close look at that. There's your automatic winding pawl. suction gear, spacer. Okay, now we get to the fun stuff. Now this is the good part of the chronograph. Here we go. All right, so once we get this off, we can start to see how your chronograph wheel is, because that's going to be the make or break for most of these watches, is whether or not that chronograph wheel, which is unserviceable, and there are no replacement ones in the world at the moment, other than tearing down an equivalent watch. Oh, that screw is definitely in there. Take a close look at that guy. Whew. Pretty badly rusted. All of these have serious water issues. Okay, there's your chronograph bridge. Yeah, you can see some water. Definitely was in this watch for a while. Here. Ooh. Okay. All right, so this is the mechanism of your chronograph. It's got some serious discoloration here on the fingers, but hopefully that won't limit the ability of this thing to work properly. All right, one spring. Spring number 2. Okay, there's your hammer. Faces look pretty good, reset faces, that's important. Make sure these levers are functioning. Okay. Lever number 1. Lever number 2. Let's take off your chronograph wheel. Column wheel here. This is the all-important column wheel that tells your chronograph how to do its thing. It's got a bearing in there that needs to be preserved. Some interesting lubrication. Yeesh. Okay, well. All right, let's keep going. Take off this plate, which covers some of your jeweling. Serves as a bushing for your other components. All right, let's go ahead and take your balance off. Screws are quite loose. All right, let's be real gentle. Okay. Here's your balance and your hairspring off. Looks okay. From first glance, I'll have to look at that closely under a microscope. Take off your palette bridge and your palette forks. Palette fork, I should say. Check out the reflections on these surfaces, see what kind of shape that's in. It's pretty good, fairly clean. Okay, let's continue. Take off your ratchet wheel. This is what allows your mainspring to have power. Pretty hazy. Take off your click spring. Okay, that's your second plate torn down. Let's go ahead and take these screws out. Now, one thing I'll have you notice once we get here is this is the result of a worn mainspring arbor port. Lots of brassing. You can see right here all this brass. That's from that wheel, this ratchet wheel, being tipped over into the actual metal of the movement. You can see it's worn off all of the plating and gotten down into the brass here. It's not clear what your barrel will hold, how the mainspring is going to look, but we'll know in a few moments. So let's take this off. Okay. Take a close look at all your bushings and jewels. Okay, so here it is. This is where we need to look very closely. Make sure that everything is functioning. Yeah, okay, that's good. You got good resistance. Okay, so you're in good luck. That is a very important component of your watch and the most important component of your chronograph, and it is in good shape. So that is cause for celebration. Third wheel, escape wheel. Let's take your barrel out. Okay. You know, I've seen worse. Seen a lot worse than that. You've got lots of ovaling here, which is what we expect. That's where the wear actually is at its worst in these movements, for every movement, not just yours, but every one that I've ever seen. And your center wheel. And like that, we are torn down. That is everything down to bits. So pretty comprehensive set of parts here for your watch. We're going to get those all back together into that little thing right there. So that will come soon. Okay, here we go. We're going to keep going. Okay, for me, I just wanted to keep this going here. We've gotten all of your items out of the cleaner. I want to point out a few things before I get started with the reconstruction. We have rejeweled or jeweled your movement. You've got two new jewels, one here on the top of your mainspring arbor port. That's where your mainspring goes. And then this one down here is for the lower mainspring arbor. I was able to get into your mainspring, but unfortunately it was broken. This part of your mainspring should have a second piece that comes off, that's called the bridle, and that was non-existent. So bad mainspring, but luckily we have replacements, and there's your mainspring arbor. that's where that goes. So going to get to the process of putting things back together. Hopefully we'll get it running. All right, Sumit, we're looking good here. I just wanted to give you an update before I put the final bridge back on. You know, your components are, of course, hazy and you know, could look better, but like we said, this watch had seen a lot of water, and so it kind of is expected that these shiny components are going to have some issue. I have tried my darndest to get as much of the corrosion residual residue off, and you know, it's fine. There's no danger at having this. So let's go ahead and get some final components put on here so that we can see how the train runs. Okay. Looks like everybody's pretty well aligned here. Okay. So see if your chronograph wheel will disengage. Looks good. Get some power here pushed into your mainspring. Looks really good. All right, everybody's running smoothly. Go ahead and kick your mainspring, your chronograph into play. Good. Okay. Okay. I'm a little tiny bit concerned about your movement on your chronograph wheel. It looks to be a slightly out of flat, but we'll see how that progresses as we get to other parts of the movement. I'm going to go ahead and put your cannon pinion on and lubricate your upper jewels. All right, Sumit. So just want to give you an update. Your watch is running. It's running pretty well considering. So we suffered a few setbacks, but I think progress is still good. You had a few fairly detrimental issues that are taken care of, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to sink the project because we're back up. and things are good. So let me just give you a quick update. You had a very bad hairspring. Somebody had manipulated it quite badly and put a big kink in it that as soon as I tried to take care of it, it snapped. So that's problematic. But I have another one. I installed it, and your watch is running pretty well, considering. You also had a broken mainspring, so that'll come back to you. It is I put a new one in. It's in the barrel here, and it's working pretty well. So overall, couple things, but you know, these are what we expect. It's a 50 plus year old watch, and it needed some love. But you're running, and I wanted to point out a few things. Your chronograph wheel is turning fine and flipping over the date or the minute. I'm sorry, the minute counting. And you can see, if you look right in this spot right here, you'll see a little finger come into that window, and it's going to turn the minute counting wheel over. So that finger right there is going to advance your minute as soon as we go. And it's going to come around. Just like, here it comes. And there it went. So, we are advancing and making progress. One other thing. Springs are not the friend of this watch for some reason. You had this rusty retaining spring, and as soon as I tried to take it off to de-rust it, it snapped. So it had a very weak point here, and you know, it was gone. I'll send yours back. Of course, all your parts will come back to you that need to be replaced. But I have one, and it's on, and you're ready to go. Okay, progress. Okay, so neat. Just want to give you a little update. We're close. I've sort of assembled things here just temporarily, just to give you a sense of what you got looking at coming up. So all in all, it looks pretty good. Your dial, I think, came out pretty darn nice. If you can look, I got your Seiko really to shine, and your day and date window to really come up nicely. Your dial was dirty, but I was able to clean it. You have new lume on all your markers and on your hands. Now your hands themselves, they weren't in great shape because they had been painted and there had been some issues. I went ahead and did some touch-up paint on the inner parts of the hands, and I still have one more little spot there to touch up. But overall, pretty good. This sweep second hand is a replacement, but that's okay. It looks pretty good for the watch, and you know, I'd say it's working pretty darn well. I'm going to try and engage your chronograph here. So there we go. We're not quite done yet. I figured this crystal has seen some better days. It looks like somebody tried to polish it at one point with a piece of sandpaper. So I'm gonna get you a new crystal. It's on the way. It's only a few bucks, so not too bad there. Overall, you know, the watch is ready to go back into its final assembled state. The dial came out, I think, really quite lovely. Considering where we were starting, I think we've made quite the progress. I'll let you decide, though. And yeah, so we're moving along. Things are coming together. I was able to not necessarily polish your case, but at least get a nice shine on the surface. You know, this is just done with a polishing cloth and not any abrasive material at all. And I was able to do the same with your case back. Your case back looks, I think, quite good. So once we get a crystal in stock, which should just be a few days, we'll get your watch back to you. Okay, looking good. I'll send you one more video update before I put it in the mail.